Hey everybody, this is Tim O'Neill. Welcome to week 4 of the Milan Mastery art program. This was actually a really great week. This is Sunday as I'm recording this. Most of the time I do them on Sundays. And this week was really fun. We did a couple different things. We did 3 Alla Prima paintings, which was totally new to me. And then we did a couple charcoal drawings, which also was fun. I'm getting a little bit better idea on how to use charcoal and create some better contrast, some brighter whites and some darker darks. So as we move along and in the next year, it's going to be fun continuing to grow with charcoal, but I will let things roll out. I'll show you what we did. And at the end, I have a very special art piece that I'm going to sell this week. Again, to make some money for the Milan Artistry program. This is a print, and I will tell you about it in the voiceover. So I'm just finishing up a nice little cup of tea, dandelion tea, and one of my spring favorite beverages. And so I will dedicate the first minute of this to the spring flower, the dandelion. Have a great week. Okay, here we go. So what I did here first, I just have a little bit of video that shows me prepping canvases. These canvases, they're super small. They're only 8 by 10. And I usually give everything, if I'm oil painting, at least 2 coats of gesso. And then I will ground the canvas with something that looks like this might have been Van Dyke brown maybe, and all of that is going to be, should be actually in acrylic. These, I did not use acrylic for grounding them. I used oil paint because I had a bunch, a big blob came out when I was trying to initially put it on my boards. But anyway, that's what went on with that. Next, this is the very first Alla Prima painting that we did. I limited my time, as I mentioned earlier, to 1 hour on these just because I wanted to see, and I want to get faster as I move along here because I'm a very slow painter. One of the things I discovered during this process, that in our house, we don't have a lot of colorful things. I have a lot of neutral colors. Even on the walls, I mean, most of our items are neutral. It was a very interesting thing to discover, but I tried to find some color for the very last one, but it was a little bit of a difficulty. So anyway, here I am with a really tiny brush trying to finish this thing up. As Bob Burridge says, I got out my 3-hair brush and tickled the thing to death. I'm not quite sure how else you finish something this small, but anyway, I give it my best shot in an hour. Next thing we did was we moved on to charcoal, and this was a lot of fun. I have been struggling with charcoal. I have not used it a lot in the way that they are suggesting we use it, and so it's really been fun in terms of the process of discovery. It has not been fun in terms of the results. That has been really, really frustrating. Everything I've produced so far has been flat, lacking bright whites or dark darks. And this particular drawing as well is a little bit the same. The other thing that's been a challenge for me is when I'm trying to create with subtraction, I don't have enough time, or I guess skill yet, probably, to get all the proportions and scale right, and that really drives me crazy, because I like things to be at least accurate. I'm not a realist. I don't like a lot of detail typically, but I do want what I have there to be fairly accurate. All right, here we go. We moved on to the second Alla Prima painting. Same thing, this was a limited palette. The very first one we used 3 colors, and the second one we used three colors, and you could add some. I used 3 colors throughout the whole thing. 3 warms, 3 cools, just because I didn't have a lot of color in the still lifes that I set up, and so I figured it was fair game just to leave the 3 colors that I had already started on there. Okay, there's a close-up of the last one that I did. It was a lot of fun doing these, and I really think I'm going to do some more of these short, really quick 1-hour pieces. Okay, I'm back to charcoal. I'm going to try to do a little bit better job on my charcoal in this last one that I'm doing. And so what I decided to do was just do a value scale with the materials that I had on hand, because they weren't marked. I couldn't tell by the marks that they were making what was soft, medium, and hard. And so I just decided to press on them as hard as I could, figure out a value scale, and then I also did a little bit of mark making as I was doing that as well. So here's my final charcoal piece. This little piece I actually enjoyed. I finally did figure out how I could get some darker darks. The whites still are not quite what I would like them to be, but if I go back in and use some white pastel chalk, I think I can get what I'm looking for. I just can't quite get there with subtraction with the erasers that I'm using, and perhaps it's the type of that I'm using, but I wasn't able to get exactly what I was looking for here. I only did a couple of the drops there because I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this. I, again, limited myself to 2 hours, and so I just did a few of the drops just to represent how I could do them, and it worked out okay. Don't hate it, but it's definitely not one of my favorites, but it's by far one of the better ones that I've done in trying to figure things out. This is the last Alla Prima piece, and I tried to go through the house and find some things that had color, because I wanted to figure out how to mix colors with this limited palette of 3. So it's the best I could do. I found an orange, I had a tube of paint, I had a box that actually was white, and I just made it green, and so it worked out okay. And then I figured out how or that I wanted to add a background to it. It was just on a white background. So again, it was a lot of fun. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is I have this limited edition print for sale. This is number 1 of only 100 prints of these. I've actually only printed 10 of these prints, and then I didn't take them to market ever. I just stopped doing shows. So this is number 1 of 100. It is still wrapped in cellophane. It is float mounted with deckled edges. It's printed on e-surface paper, and it's printed, it's mounted in a 16 by 20 matte end mount. So it's ready to frame, and it's 50% off, which would put it at $149 plus shipping. And so if you're interested in that, please let me know with a direct message, and I'll get back in contact with you. So that's it. Thank you very much for joining me this week. We will see you next week. Good night.